What's up, guys? Joe Youngblood with Trager Farms. Hope everyone is having a good Saturday. Had a nice client visit with someone yesterday here in Michigan locally, and tomorrow is my last client visit for the year. It's been a fun year and met a lot of great people. Been to a lot of awesome places. If you can believe it, over the last 2 years, been through 12 different states, which is so cool. Everywhere from as far south as Georgia, all the way north to, top of the upper peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin and stuff like that. So that's been great. I'm excited for tomorrow, a fairly big property. And it'll be a good time. Weather's good, and most of you are probably wrapping up with your food plots or just watching them grow, which is super exciting. Always never as fast as we want it, right? Just to see that growth. And wanted to give a couple reminders too, that one, look at those soil samples. If you guys need some fertilizer, things like that, don't forget to get out there. Could be a couple weeks after germination, depends on your amount of time and stuff that you have, but get that down on the ground so you can get some good spurts of growth, and also so that it can help the nutrition of the actual plant, right? When the plant is getting what it needs from the soil, it's actually going to taste better and more palatable for the deer. So sometimes, on one end, you might have a crop that the deer aren't used to. Let's say it's like brassicas, for example, and putting that next to other crops that maybe they're more familiar with, like soybeans or oats and things like that, will help them uptake and get used to those other plants. But then on the flip side, it's just, the soil and making sure that the plant is getting what it needs so that the deer are interested in it and it's tasting good to them and things like that. So keep that in mind. The other thing I wanted to give you guys a quick reminder about is to go ahead and do your layering with the rye or wheat or a little bit of both. It's definitely gives us numerous advantages. One, depending on your deer density and also how much you're planting for your area, being able to lay rye will help fill in some of those holes, right? One of our main goals is tonnage per acre for the deer. And, yesterday even, nicest guy, very intelligent. Let me turn this AC down a little. If maybe there's a year where the farmer has some crops in, I'm seeing someone in the summer, there's only so much you can do. I totally get that. When Jeff came to my property years ago, it was August 20th. There was only so much I could do. Some of you have contracts, leases with farmers that will last a couple years, and maybe you can't take some of the property that you want now, but in a couple years you can. So what I mean is you can't have the quantity of food that you really need right now. Either way, deer numbers are high, or maybe we just need more tonnage per acre. It's great to be able to go in 4 to 5 weeks after your food plots have been germinating and go ahead and put some of that winter rye over the top, fill those holes in, add tonnage per acre. In addition to that, you're also going to get that rye coming up very first thing in the spring. It gives deer nutrition when they otherwise have nothing, right? All the weeds are dead. Everything else has been rotten. Food plots are kind of rotted off, and they're in the dead of winter with not much going on. So for them to be able to, get something when they're starving helps your deer herd and really helps the lowest hole in the bucket, if you want to put it that way, which is awesome. It can improve the soil depending on how you plant. It can also be a bit of a like a cover crop, that following year. So it has so many good benefits. It's great. So highly recommend. It's cheap, 20 something bucks typically for a 50-pound bag. Get them from a local co-op, or wherever, and you're off to the races. Lately, I've also just been kind of getting our stands up, getting our shooting lanes done. It's a whole second job, as I'm sure many of you are aware. Had a little incident where a neighbor's machine had hit a pole on one of my redneck stands, and got in touch with them. They were awesome. They were able to put the 3 pieces, I believe, next to a leg together for me and ship it out literally within a few days. I have the pieces that I need. I don't think I had as many replacement bolts, you know, kind of that main piece if you're used to setting those up, as I thought I did. So I ran over to Lowe's and just got the hex bolts, got some nuts and some washers, and I'm gonna head up there soon, hopefully before I'm layering the rye and doing some other work, and get that put together. And really, we'll be rocking and rolling. There's not too many other things that we need to get situated before the season starts. I moved a stand, added a stand, did a couple things, and maybe I will bring that to you guys as far as like perfect stand placement. I think you know, some of the things that I tweak might make good videos for yourself. I also think I'd like to do a video on just like maybe the top 3 to 5 most common mistakes or misconceptions that I see on my client visits. Really going to be passing, I think, 100 visits here soon with clients through Whitetail Habitat Solutions. So maybe you guys would get a kick out of that. Maybe it's something you're not interested or can't afford or what have you, but you know, me bringing that to you just verbally might give a little you know, help for your property. So that'll be kind of fun. But if you guys have any other ideas for videos, you know, I try and do most of my videos in the field, and I can only be on my farm so many times out the year as I'm traveling and working and stuff. So if there are things that like this, maybe I can give you reminders or talk about, or if you do like anything in particular on the whiteboard, you know, let me know. But just like you guys, I prefer to be out in the field and giving you that visual and being a little more hands-on. Excited to see myself how the plots are looking. Things did germinate quite well. If you saw a last video or two, I definitely kind of gave just little snippets of the food plot. I will say, guys, that, you know, I was on a trip in Wisconsin, and I was a little nervous because I didn't get to do anything that first week of August, which is okay, but you know, I was kind of ballparking the first 2 weeks in August to try and get my food in, and we got some pretty good heavy rains. And it wasn't till about 3 or so days after that, of those heavy rains, that I was able to get out there after my trip and get my seed down. And it was, I know I talked about it a video or two ago, a couple videos ago. It was rough because it was still kind of mucky, and I was seeding everything by hand and trudging through all that stuff, as you guys, or many of you, are familiar with. But my main point is, I'm still a little bit surprised in a good way that even though I kind of missed some of those rains, you know, still consider previous rains in your decision to get seed on the ground, because that soil was so moist. It still hadn't rained in a couple days. I put my seed down though after all of this had happened, and stuff started to germinate within, I think it was a 3-day, you know, I was out there and pointed to and showed you guys stuff germinating. The day after I seeded also, we did get like another ½ an inch, so there was some rain that came after, but not a ton, right? Not multiple days of rain or anything like that. So if you run into that same predicament, you're looking at the weather and you're like, man, I missed it. Bear in mind, you know, especially a lot of the smaller seeds, if that soil is still looking good, it can be very fruitful for you, and it can still get those seeds germinating rather quickly. Then, like I said, I did have a little bit of rain, I believe up to about a ½ inch or so the day after, and we've been kind of rocking and rolling ever since. I can start to see it on the trail cameras, and I would say, you know, within a week or so, I should be back up there. I'll show you guys how it looks, and go from there. So I know this wasn't overly exciting video, but again, a reminder on a couple things. Get out there, get things finished up. I hope that the last few weeks before the season starts, you guys can really kind of taper things back. We do love you guys using the properties, your hunting property, right, throughout the rest of the year. Enjoy it. It is our prized possessions. I totally get it. Get the family out there, have fun. But a couple weeks, 3, 4, 2, whatever, before the season, we kind of taper things off. The deer right now, if you haven't noticed, they are starting to slide into their fall patterns. You might notice a couple deer left, maybe a couple deer, different bucks slid into your property. So that is all happening. The acorns are dropping. If you guys haven't noticed, they always drop, seems like earlier and earlier every year, but really neat. So get that stuff good to go, and the season will be here before we know it. So I'll see you guys next time.